So we're going to have a quick look here at system threats to an individual. It's part of our module on system security. So what is system security? Well, it's got lots of names: computer security, cyber security, information technology security, but it's all about the protection of computer systems from the theft of or damage to their hardware, software or electronic data, as well as from the disruption or misdirection of the services they provide. Now, obviously that's from Wikipedia, you could have got that yourself. So I've highlighted the key words there. Protection, it's about protecting this information from theft and damage. It's not just theft and damage though, sometimes it can be disrupting or misdirecting services. Now, there are lots of forms of attack. Now, this is when data is viewed or damaged without authorization. Now, obviously, you can get authorization to do it, especially if you're government or police or something like that. But generally, you won't have permission to view or damage or vandalize someone else's data. And there are 4 different forms of attack. They're interrelated. So we've got passive first off. Now, this is when you're just monitoring, just looking at the data or listening in. So we've got bugging someone or wiretapping, that sort of thing, where you don't change it, you don't change the computer at all, you're just watching. Then you've got active. Now, active is where you're actually changing things. So you might put a virus on someone's computer, for instance. That's the sort of thing that active is. So these are 2 opposites. Now, to build on these 2 opposites, you've got 2 different forms of attack. But they can be related to these 2. So you've got inside attacks. So if you're working for a company, it could be an employee, it could be someone in your own house. That would be an inside attack. Or you could have an outside attack. So someone outside, it could be a hacker, just an unauthorized person getting into your network. So these are the 4 different forms of attack, but you can have a passive inside attack, you can have an active outside attack. They can be connected, but obviously it can't be passive and active, and it can't be inside and outside, at least not to start with. So, social engineering. Now, social engineering is where you deceive someone into giving up their information. It's normally the weak point in any network or your home. People give up their information. It could be they tell you what the name of their first pet is or their mother's maiden name, something like that, or just giving up their password or PIN number straight away to you. That is generally the weakness in any system. So there are 3 ways that people get this that we need to know about. Firstly is blagging. They might call you up, it might just be a face-to-face chat, and they'll invent a scenario. This is sort of one you've seen potentially a little bit on TV, but it's mostly down the phone or face-to-face. Then there's phishing. Now, phishing is something that you potentially will have seen yourself. You receive an email, it's definitely fraudulent, and there are lots of ways of recognizing it. There's urgency, you must do this now. The language can be quite poor in it. It's not necessarily to you. It might be, dear customer, it won't talk to you by name. There'll be false links. You'll hover over the link in the email and it won't be going to the correct website. And they might have an attachment that will have a virus in it. Finally, the lowest tech of them all, shouldering. So this will be looking over your shoulder, see what your PIN is, your password. Could be someone from a long distance away with binoculars or using CCTV. That's the sort of thing. So these are all things that people don't actually have to have any technical knowledge to do. It is all about speaking, looking, listening, that sort of thing. Now, the other sort of thing we've got is malware. So things like viruses that you've probably heard of before. Now, these are active. These are designed to disrupt and gain unauthorized access and gather information. And there are lots of different types. We've got firstly, farming. Now, we've not really necessarily gone into how networks work, but when you type in a web address, it tries to connect to a server based on an actual address, not necessarily the name. And farming will change the address of the web server you're trying to get to, so you can't actually get to the website you want to. We've got viruses. Now, they're hidden within a program, so if you open it up, they get spread, executed, and they could do malicious damage to your computer. Now, a worm, it's got some similarities to a virus, But it doesn't actually occur within a program. It is a separate entity, it's its own thing, and it spreads without any assistance from a human. It makes copies of itself, and it can completely decimate your computer, the network, everything like that. Now, Trojan, so Trojan horse, potentially you'll know the story from classics, but it's disguised as legitimate software. But it can be harmful, so it could be malicious software, or it could just be annoying. Spyware. Now, this is just looking into what you're doing. So it spies on your computer. It could be a keylogger to see what you're tapping on, get stuff from your documents, things like that. Normally, this will be, when you try and download something for free, it could be packaged up with that. There could be a little tick box to say, do you want to install this software, or tick if you don't want to install this software. Often that's spyware. And you get similar things with adware as well. This doesn't spy on you, but it pops up adverts all over the place. Or it could just redirect you. So you try and go to one website, it will go to that website, but you get another tab open up with an advertising site. So these are all different types of malicious software that you can have that actively change your computer. Social engineering is passive, malware is active. And finally, one last way that individuals can be hacked into is by a brute force attack. Now, you've probably had people in your class attempt this, try and type in your password lots of times to see if they can hack into your account. That's pretty much what a brute force attack is in essence. You don't need specialist knowledge. It's all trial and error, so they'll try your password again and again and again until the system locks. Not every system will lock. People will create automated software that will just go through every possible combination. So they might try A, AA, AB, AC, AD, etc. to try all the different possible passwords, or use a dictionary of words and put them together. And actually success is just based on the number of combinations tried. That is all brute force attack is. Just trying again and again and again, lots of different passwords, and potentially lots of different email accounts. So, the key points to remember to system security. Methods can be active or passive. Any attacks can be from either inside an organisation or a household or outside it. Social engineering is getting people to disclose information. Malware is malicious software such as viruses or worms. And a brute force attack is multiple attempts to guess passwords.